Good evening, friends. Slaughter and butchery are the words being used to describe the murders of 4 employees of a Southwest Houston amusement center. Their bodies were discovered at a Malibu Grand Prix complex this morning. So far, police have no suspects in what appears to be a case of robbery and multiple murder.
The popular racing and video game park became the scene of one of the largest Houston murder investigations in memory just after 8 this morning. That was when a Federal Express delivery man and a female worker arrived here to find the doors to the video game center open.
Federal Express employee began to help her look around, and they discovered the bodies.
How brutal would you describe these murders?
Terribly brutal.
In all, there were 4 employees dead, all male, said to be in their late teens to 20s. They had apparently been closing the center just after midnight when the robbers entered. The business office where one man's body was found was said to have been ransacked. In the bathroom, 3 more bodies were discovered. All the victims are believed to have died from multiple stab wounds, including slashed throats and stabs to the chest, face, even heads. And under one body, the apparent weapon was found.
Part of a knife blade.
It appeared to be some type of kitchen knife, or what?
It's possible. It looked kind of like a kitchen knife blade. I don't.
While top-ranking members of the Homicide Division and Medical Examiner's Office who rarely attend crime scenes came to oversee the investigation, relatives of employees also gathered. This woman found her brother alive. He had not been assigned to the fatal night shift. The victim's co-workers from other shifts also gathered, including one 19-year-old who was initially feared dead. Also, the assistant park manager who said until now there had never been a robbery here before. Is there ever much money kept here?
Depends on what you consider much money, okay? We had enough to run a business. That's basically it, but not anything to warrant this sick workings, you know? I don't think that, I don't think I know anybody that would have done stuff like this. I'll see you later.
The only clues for now appear to be fingerprints and a series of bloodstains leading to the parking lot from where the killer or killers drove away.
The 4th person was the assistant manager, an Indian named Anil Varugesi. He was reportedly a medical student at Houston Baptist University. And as you can see right here, 2 of these cars actually belonged to those employees. This was Varugesi's, and over there the yellow car belonged to 2 brothers who were actually killed. They were reported to be in their late teens or early 20s. And the 3rd person was a fairly new employee. He apparently had just started work last week.
18-year-old Anil Varahis, 22-year-old Roddy Harris, 19-year-old Arnold Pequeño, and 18-year-old Yorim Pequeño, his brother. Those were the individuals that were murdered right here at what used to be the Malibu Grand Prix. It was, I believe it was, went out of business in the mid-1990s, but this is the exact location where that horrible crime occurred. The detectives on that case called those murders the worst they've ever seen. There was so much blood in the bathroom at the scene. The detectives had to wrap their shoes to protect them from all the blood. It was like a small wading pool of blood. They don't even think there was one drop of blood in anybody. This is truly butchery. And one of the kids, Anil Varahis, pre-med student at 18 years old. It's pretty rare that a kid that young knows exactly what he wants to do. So one of the detectives at the scene, J.C. Mosier, I don't believe it's his case, but he's probably just there to help with collecting evidence and what have you. So he's the one that is giving the announcement of what they found. You got every news reporter from Conroe down to Galveston and some as far away as Dallas coming down for this story. One of the absolute worst murders to ever happen in Houston, Texas. So Officer Mosier, he gives the announcement of what they've seen. He leaves the scene. He goes to his office. So he's doing some paperwork. And one of the ladies that was working in the office, she says, "Hey, Mosier, line 1. He picks up the call. He says, "Hello?" And he hears a female's voice on the other line. And she says, "Hey, are you the same J.C. Mosier that I just seen on television?" And he said, "Yeah." And mind you, this murder had just occurred the previous day. So she had only seen him on TV for probably 15, 20 minutes ago. She says, are the J.C. Mosier?" And he's probably thinking to himself, like, how many J.C. Mosiers are there? He says, "Yes, that's me. Like, what can I do for you?" She said, "I think my son is responsible for those murders at the Grand Prix." And I'm sure a wall of shock hits him. And he says, "How do you know that your son is responsible for those murders?" And she said, "Well, he used to work there and he got fired almost 2 weeks ago. And last night, my niece told me that she seen my son with his cousin and a friend of theirs come home counting a bunch of money covered in blood." Okay, I think we possibly have a suspect. So the detective asked her, he says, "What's your son's name?" And she said, "It's Richard Wilkerson. He's 19 years old." Okay, so they take some more information. He's only on the phone with her for about 10 minutes or so. And before they got off the phone, she tells him that he used to work there, but he got fired, and he's been really upset, stewing around the house, mad because he got fired. That's all he needs to hear. They quickly apprehend Richard, and they grab his cousin, 16-year-old James Randall. Now, they're looking for 20-year-old Kenneth Ray Ransom. That would be the third person in these murders. I'm not sure how long he was on the run for, but they eventually find him because, well, he turns himself in. His mother's begging him to turn himself in. She's probably worried that they're going to get into some kind of shootout and they're going to kill her son. So now they got the 3 people in custody. And basically, Richard Wilkerson, he gives a handwritten confession. Basically what happened is he was really mad that they fired him. So on the pretense of him getting his final paycheck, he tells his friend Kenneth, who is already been to prison for auto theft. He says that they got a lot of money, that there's some money in the safe. You've seen it before. So they start formulating a plan. So they meet at Kenneth's girlfriend's house. It's him, James, and Richard. So they're talking, and as they leave the house, Kenneth grabs a butcher knife from the block in his girlfriend's house. And she says, "What are you doing with that knife?" And he says, Kenneth turns around and says, "Hey, don't worry about it. You'll get it back." They go to the Grand Prix, and Richard tells him, "Hey, I'm here to pick up my check." When him and Anil are in the office, he pulls out a knife and he tells him to open the safe. Anil refuses. He punches him in the face and then just starts stabbing him. And then the other 2, they have the other 3, Yoreen, Arnold, and Roddy, in the bathroom, and they just start stabbing them. Just a terrible scene. Those 3 bastards, they had absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, they had no intentions on any one of those 4 individuals leaving that place alive. This was a premeditated murder, no questions asked. And what do you get when you butcher 4 people? Well, you get about $2,000. Kenneth Ray Ransom's share is about 325 bucks. What does $325 buy in 1983? Well, maybe you could buy a couple shirts and pants, take your girlfriend out for a night on a town to a fancy restaurant. Maybe finally fix your car because it hasn't been running right. And then you sit back like the scumbag that you are and you wait for the next opportunity. Well, thank God they never got one. Eventually, Richard Wilkerson and Kenneth Ransom, they're found guilty of the murders, and they're both sentenced to die via lethal injection. Now, James Randall, because he's 16 years of age, the Supreme Court says that you cannot sentence a juvenile under the age of 18 to death. So he receives life in prison with the possibility of parole. Now, I looked it up and it said online that he was actually paroled in 2019. You got two dudes, both in the prime of their lives. Both should be planning their, what school they're going to go to, or what job they're going to get, or them getting a promotion with that said job. But no, you had, for the last remaining years of their lives, you had two guys eating top ramen soup and sitting in prison by themselves on death row, thinking about what could have been. And Richard Wilkerson, he basically, his last words were somewhere along the lines of, how could you guys execute a man that had no felonies on his record and was borderline mentally challenged? It doesn't matter how low your IQ is. We all know that, we all know that murder is wrong. And you know that when you're going to commit that crime, you damn well know the consequences and the ramifications of that. Both of you guys were from Texas. You know how Texas rolls with the death penalty. You guys didn't think that you were going to get it? Absolutely crazy. This is the final resting place of the Pequeño brothers, Yoreen and Arnold. In a future video, I will be also visiting the final resting places of the other two victims involved in this heinous act. Rest in peace to the brothers. All right, guys. Lamont at large, hitting the road. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.